So I'm telling my sellers, hey, if you don't have to sell right now, don't sell. Wait a few months. Tell my buyers, swing for the fences. It's going to shift soon. Once rates drop, once buyers come back, market's shifting again.
Welcome back to the CashFlow podcast, the podcast where we talk about turning properties into profits. Before I get to my guests, I want to thank our sponsors. First of all, in the Phoenix Valley, I want to thank Rainforest Plumbing, Heating, and Air. They service all your plumbing needs. And in Southern California, I want to thank Daniels Plumbing. They also can service all your plumbing needs, whether it be San Diego County, Los Angeles, Orange County, or the Inland Empire. Thank you guys. We couldn't do it without you. Now, to my special guest and military veteran, Ryan Caron.
Hey, Jason, how you doing?
It's great to be here with you, man.
Doing good, brother. Thanks for having me.
So let's get right into it. Dean Aguilar Group, one of my favorites. You're one of their top producing agents, and now you've got your own group now. You got your own team.
Yes, sir. Yep. So I'm still with DAG. Shout out to Dean and Afro. Love them. They kind of gave me my start in this industry, so nothing but love for them. But my wife, actually, she just quit her 12-year nursing job to join me full-time doing real estate. So
did that take a lot of convincing, or she was just like, I'm done?
I think she was getting kind of burnt out doing nursing.
Right.
And then, I was kind of kept saying, hey, I'm busy. I need some help with real estate. And she's like, I don't know if I have the passion. So one day I just signed her up for real estate classes. And I was like, here, if you want to do it, it's not a lot of money to sign up for classes.
How very leadership of you.
Yeah. So I said, hey, here it is. You have classes in your email. If you want to do it, do it. If not, no harm, no foul.
Right.
She did it. She knocked it out in like 3 months. And then on this past November, she passed the test on a Thursday, put her notice in on Friday.
That's crazy.
And we've been, kind of kicking ass and taking names ever since.
So talk to me about your start. I mean, obviously, military background, Navy. Talk to me about how you got to this point.
So I got here. I got out of the military in about 2009. What I did have lined up, I was going to do UAV. So I was going to be a government contractor,
right.
Go overseas, wherever they needed me. So that was my game plan. And then how my trajectory kind of changed, I was on a flight with one of my pilots at the time, and the new GI Bill came out in 2009, and he was like, Petty Officer Caron, why don't you go to school,
Yellow
be
ribbon,
a college kid?
Yeah.
And so I kind of took his advice, became a college kid, and then during college, I said, hey, and I started doing property management. And that's how I kind of started leasing apartments and kind of doing that stuff, and I kind of fell in love with kind of dealing with people and kind of doing that stuff, and then I had my daughter.
Right.
And then after having my daughter, I said, I don't want to get deployed anymore.
Yeah.
I've been deployed enough. And property management was kind of a lot during COVID.
To say the least,
yeah.
Property management was a lot.
Yeah.
Holy yeah.
Yeah. So after a while, I was kind of doing management, managing like 400 or 500 apartment, communities. I was kind of the complaint person of people kind of coming in and out.
The rage, they would vent everything on
Yeah.
you, and you're like,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't build the apartment. No, I'm not the HVAC technician. Yeah.
I'm sorry for people, can you only use the pool? And,
Right.
people are coming yelling at me, the sun kills COVID. I'm like, I'm not making the rules. So, so I was getting that for a while, and then I'm like, I just needed a change. I went from loving that to white knuckling at home, where I'm like, I'm ready for something different. And then, so I kind of did the same thing as what my wife just did this past year of, I just signed up for myself for real estate classes, and I said, this has to be it. And then I kind of just saved up as much as I could during COVID. Second I passed my test, I interviewed a couple of teams, and that's where I met Afro. I interviewed first with Afro and Gil Reynoso. He's a man.
Yeah.
And then they were my people.
Yeah.
Second I met them, interviewed them, like, all right, this is it. I interviewed a couple other teams, and they were the ones that kind of really said, I could do this.
That's what everybody, and again, shout out to Dak, that's what everybody says. And it's a big life lesson. You have to find your people. You have to find your culture. And I hear a lot of people over there, the reason they go there because it's the right fit for them. So it's great to hear that kind of thing. And again, love those people. Mentorship. Obviously we get a lot of mentorship in the military. Mm-hmm. But in this space here, it's different.
It is.
So who did you have to lean on to be successful?
Again, I got to go back to my DAG, my DAG people right there. I'll definitely say, by far the role play, that the training they kind of gave us out there. And I think from me coming from like a more of a property management buttoned up background, I was very buttoned up and, would be in role play and they're like, Ryan, do you really talk like that in real life? Like, fuck no,
Don't give away anything, please. Don't say anything.
Yeah. So I was very, buttoned up and like, did you swear? I'm like, yeah, they're like, swear. Be yourself, kind of like be yourself.
Yeah, I can swear for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So kind of just doing that, and them just kind of training me up and stuff like that. Like just kind of being yourself, and just the education that they have, and just the support that they have, kind of really, put me on the trajectory where I'm at now.
And you took it to the level now. You're so confident in your business and the niche that you're doing. You're even putting on seminars, which is, again, as a veteran, they don't tell us shit. They don't tell you what benefits you're going to get. It's just like, oh, you didn't know that? Oh, it's my bad.
Exactly, yeah. So the big reason I started doing these seminars, because I had no clue, when I was in, that we had these benefits for us. When I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida during 2008, during, when everything was down, during the crash, I could have bought a house down there for pennies.
VA, all day long.
I never knew the benefits that I could even have done it. I rented the whole time down there, left Jacksonville, came out here, but I could have somebody paying that mortgage right now. Yeah. That was back in 2008. I could have probably had the house paid off and just someone, again, monthly income, but I didn't know that, back then. So that's kind of the big reason why I started doing these seminars. Just pay it forward to my community, give them the education, let them know, hey, it's possible. Right. So that's kind of the biggest reason I really started doing it.
And speaking about that niche of, a military realtor, and I know it can be cliche, but what is your biggest takeaway guiding some of our fellow veterans? Like what's your philosophy on how to best serve that community?
I think the best is just make sure it's the right decision for them. Right. It's not, it's not right for everybody. Yeah. I tell my guys, hey, if you're going to be stationed here for 3 years, you don't want a rental you don't want that passive income going forward. You don't want to deal with the stress of selling in 3 years. Rent. Yeah. It might take 3 to 5 years to, really kind of get that back. Or if you want to, you want that passive income in the future, it will be the best decision. But again, you might have to, hire an awesome company like GoldenWest to manage it for you. Things like that. But it's an extra step you have to do. If you want something easy, like what I did the whole time I was in was I went to places, I rented, and I can get out like that. Yeah. If that's something that they want, you can. But if they want the benefits of something I wish I had, my biggest thing is just giving them the education.
Right. It's just nobody tells us, and unless you're taking the initiative to do the work, which again, you got to take initiative to do the work, no one's giving you a little bit of pathway to follow. Yep. You don't know.
Exactly. And that's the biggest reason all I am is an advisor. Yeah. I'm here to give you the information, let you know, hey, this is how to do it. It's possible. Yeah. And once you have that information, whatever you want to do with it, it's your choice.
Big boy, big girl rules. Yep. I showed you what's possible. If you want to do it, you do it. If you don't,
and that's why I like to be separated from other realtors. Most of the people you have to do it. It's the best decision to do. And I'm like, hey, if you want to do it, I'm here for you. I'll guide you, but I'm not going to make that decision for you.
That's a great philosophy too. Like, I'm here to be your guide, but if it's not right for you, I'm not pushing you into it.
All we're supposed to be as realtors and professionals and aren't is advisors. Yeah, and that's all we are. Hey, here's what I see in the market. Here's all the information for you. And then again, like we said, if you want to do with it, you can. If not,
too many pushy, crazy realtors out there. No offense to realtors. I love you guys. Let's talk case studies, because you've done a plethora of transactions. I want to talk about you walking us through what it looks like going through these kind of transactions. So let's talk about, I know you've got some good where you got some great offers, and let's walk me through.
I'll probably say one of the best ones I've had would probably one I just actually closed last week.
Nice.
Actually, a military veteran, awesome dad, wife. They have a young daughter. So one of those awesome families that we're talking about. Again, he was working with an agent before. How I actually got hooked up with him, he was working with an agent, wasn't happy with that agent. Sure. He was at a dog park, ran into one of my neighbors, and he was just talking with my neighbor. And he was like, dude, you're not happy? You should talk to Ryan. Right. He cold called me. And then, so I was like, I thought it was a scam at first. And then we started talking, and then, I met him, his wife, his daughter. We kind of all hit it off. And then we kind of went house hunting. And he was like, dude, this is like night and day from, I obviously first sat down, did a buyer's consult with them, let them know the options, the path that we could do. And like, oh, this is awesome. No one's done this for me before.
What was going wrong? Without going into the weeds, like what was going wrong with the service with the other agent?
So I think a couple things. The very first thing, they didn't sit down with them and explain the process.
Got it.
The first thing of like from start to finish to, hey, we're meeting right now, to the day I give you the keys, what to expect, everything in between.
Which is huge.
Another thing they said, that, hey, every time we saw houses, if we didn't want an offer, he made us feel bad. So I'm like, no, our job is to do that. Our job is to do that. We get paid well for what we do. That's why we should put an A+ service out there. And I think he just wasn't getting that A+ service, what he was expecting.
Got it.
And so I think for me and how I like to do things, just communication. Just let him know, hey, you have a question, I'm here for you. You want me, I'm available for you.
What did you end up finding what did the deal look like that you were able to win on?
This, what we did, and again, this isn't often in every market, especially San Diego.
Sure.
But right now, it's a little slower in the market right now for sellers. So what we did with him, we found an awesome house. It was a beautiful townhome up in San Marcos. It's been on the market a little over 30 days. So what we did with him, we actually asked the seller, we got him $41,000 in credits.
Wow.
So what we did with that credits, it bought down his interest rate.
Nice.
So we got him an extra 2% down on his interest rate.
Makes it affordable.
So we put it about $21,000 towards his interest rate buy down. And then we also used the rest of it to cover all his closing costs.
Nice.
Because as you know, the VA loan, there's no down payment.
Right.
However, we still have to pay closing costs.
Yeah.
Which is about 2% of the purchase price.
Got it.
With this, he bought it with $0 out of pocket.
Wow.
So when we closed escrow, we actually just closed on Friday.
Nice.
When we closed escrow, he got that earnest money deposit he put in. He got that refunded.
There we go.
Which is
There we
not,
go.
like I said, I always try with my VA clients.
Right.
I try to do one or the other. It's very hard to get $40,000 in credits.
Yeah.
I try to swing for the fences as much as we can.
Right.
But I always say, hey, do you want an interest rate buy down? Do you want closing costs? Like I said, it's not a cookie cutter for everybody.
Sure.
Some people might, hey, I got money to pay, I have extra money to pay for my monthly mortgage, but I have no savings. Ryan, can you help me pay my closing cost? And we can kind of, go figure it out for each person and make their plan.
Were there major surprises in it, or because you guys set expectations, you went over the process, did it actually unfold smoothly?
This was one of the smoothest escrows I have.
Nice.
And he kind of kept asking me. I had 3 escrows
waiting
at
for
that
the other
same
shoe to
time,
drop. Yeah.
And he kind of kept asking me, like, right, is this normal? What's going on? Like, why? He kept that. And I'm like, and I told him about my other 2. I'm like, dude, I have 2 escrows on fire right now. We have a good one right now. This is good. I always say, hey, good things happen to good people. This was meant to happen.
Right.
And that's why, when we closed just on Friday, they were very thankful, happy. They got their dream house.
Right.
They got credits for it. They got everything they wanted. And that's, those are the stories that make it worth it for me.
Right.
That's what I like, the sense of, that's the reward I get of helping people and just hearing that, thanks, Ryan, I couldn't have done this without you.
And you hear so much, like you alluded to earlier, it was a seller market 5 minutes ago, and now it's a buyer's market. It's so great to see buyers win as well. Because we heard about sellers going, I tossed the property on the MLS, and 2 days later it's sold and $100,000 over asking and blah, blah, blah. It's great to see the other side too.
Yeah.
So,
The market has definitely shifted. Yeah, how it was, I'd say San Diego is usually always a seller's market. Our house is still going first week on the market. Yeah, it's San Diego. But again, it's usually those single-family, turnkey homes, good neighborhoods, good school districts. Those are still going first week on the market.
Now, that's a phenomenal deal. Have you ever been in a situation where you're like, oh my God, this is absolute nightmare. I don't want this. I need to walk away from this quickly.
I've had more than I can. I would say more than I can count, but I'd say one that's kind of sticking out to me. It was I was representing the seller on that one, and again, it was a Zillow call. Zillow call came in. Being part of DAG, we get kind of part of that Zillow Flex program. We get seller buyer leads again. Shout out to DAG.
Yeah. Thank you for the Zillow leads.
So this is a Zillow lead, and again, so the kind of story behind this one, the woman called me, said pretty much she was selling her family home. She was the last survivor of her family. She had to sell her house. There was a water leak, mold everywhere. It was
Yikes.
Total fixture, needed it. So I went, met her, got the listing signed, kind of, had investors. It was cash only investors. So I have a good Rolodex of investors. So I had about 10 or 15 of them come out, walk the property. I got her an awesome investor deal in escrow.
Boom.
During the escrow process, she kept saying, hey, there's stuff going on with the title, but I have it all fixed. Got, recording deeds, stuff like that. Little red flags were popping up, but I was like, okay, let's see what happened. And I was with, I was with a really good title company that I trusted, one of my preferred ones that I knew, hey, if they give me the okay, then we're okay. So it's 2 days before closing escrow. I call my titler up, I'm like, hey, Bonnie, where are we at on this? I'm like, we're supposed to close in 2 days. She said, Ryan, we're doing awesome. She goes, I just got the email from her sister saying that she doesn't want anything to do with the house. I'd say, Bonnie, her sister's dead.
Wait. She called you saying she's the last surviving member of the family, and then just you doing your routine check, your title rep's like, everything's good. The other family member signed off, and you're like, wait a minute.
So I think she forgot that she told me this, and maybe she didn't know that was my title rep that I'm in contact with, part of this transaction. So yes, so she was sending fraudulent emails from her sister's email saying that she doesn't want anything to do with it, blah, blah, blah. And my title rep was reading me these emails, and I'm like,
oh my gosh, so she read you like, look at all this strength.
Yeah, so I got those emails, and I'm like, no, she's dead. I'm like, I gave her hug at the listing appointment saying, I'm sorry. I know.
Like,
so
I'm
like,
100% correct.
I'm like, no. And she's like, let me do my she did her research, and then a whole can of worms opened.
Really?
Then they really saw like fraudulent deeds. It was just a whole thing.
It was a mess.
So at the very end, then all of a sudden they said, hey, this needs to go to probate. We're not doing it. So again, we can't cancel that. Again, learning lesson. If because I was feeling those red flags coming, but it was kind of like it wasn't there until I talked to the title rep and.
Talk me through, like, okay, so now you're representing both sides of the transaction. What do you first say to the buyer? Like, hey, this is why we have to stop. And do they get their earnest money back? How does that look?
So they got their full deposit back. They got all that stuff because it wasn't to them. Good thing with investor deals like that, the only thing one of the main contingencies they have is the title.
Okay.
Or if it's an HOH doc. So they did have that contingency in.
Nice.
There's no loan,
clean
no
title,
appraisal.
Yeah, clean title.
That's it. That was the only contingency you have, and they couldn't provide that.
That's good. That's good.
So again, that's one that I was representing both, but again, I'm representing the buyer on that one as well. One of my investor clients. So I had to make sure he was protected as well.
Right. If you weren't paying attention, then
if
that
I
could
didn't
be a
pay
serious
attention,
problem.
I wasn't doing my due diligence with title. So if I didn't make that phone call, it probably could have got swept under the tracks. We probably would have closed, and who knows? It seemed to me that she was just trying to get out of probate.
Right.
I don't think there was anything really fraudulent of it. I think she was just trying to save
It was her family property. She was rightfully involved.
It was who she was. So all that stuff, I believe, what I believe, she was just trying to get out of probate.
Sure.
And that, save 6 to 9 months. As probate court takes
probate's
forever.
A nightmare,
So I think she was just trying to outsmart the system, and then the system caught her. And then, and then she said, please cancel the listing. Never talk to me again. And fell off their face there. So I had to tell my clients, but again, they would rather that than open something with with a bad
What if you
title.
closed and then somebody came back and said, hey, this is fraudulent?
What if their sister wasn't done? Things like that. What if there was somebody else that came out of the woodwork? So
what do you ever check and see if the property got listed again or so?
It's funny because we get all these email text messages. So literally, I got a text message before our property was even canceled. I got a mass text message that they send to every realtor in San Diego. We have a new property in Spring Valley. It was literally the same property. And we knew blah, blah, blah. And I called them like, hey, I would check the title on that,
Yeah.
But again, are there not the best title companies that might have done it?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure, yes. Did it sell? Yeah. Did it go to an investor? Yeah. I didn't even check. I didn't, that stuff I'd rather not.
Hey, you better not be involved. It's across the board.
Yeah. Oh, man, and I didn't want to waste my energy looking into it. Who did it? That I'm like, hey, if they get caught, they get caught. That's not on me. I did my due diligence, and so I was definitely one that I was like, I squeaked by that because again, I do not want to get sued, and that and that was a case where I could have potentially got caught in that mix just from
too many people will look the other way just to try to ring the bell and get some commission.
Yep.
And you're right, but in the end, you could just as easily have gotten sued.
Yep.
Just again, testament to you and the type of moral compass you have, because there's plenty of people. Again, it's not just realtors. Yep. Plenty of people who would I need that $20,000.
Exactly.
Just transitioning out of that, it blows my mind. There are tons of challenges then in your industry, just trying to be a successful agent. What are some of the biggest ones you're facing right now?
I think right now, especially that, we're getting a lot more listings right now. I think the biggest challenge is just talking to sellers saying you're not going to get the price we were getting 7 months ago.
Yeah.
I know your neighbor, I would say the market, probably last year around March, April time, kind of market just started kind of going down. And during the whole summer, again, summer in San Diego is usually the hot time to buy.
Yeah.
Right now, this summer, it was slow for sellers.
Really?
So I think that was kind of the biggest challenge is houses are sitting longer, which they're not used to. Especially they were looking at the market 6 months to a year ago, my neighbor's house just sold in a week.
Yeah.
And now we're on the market for 70-something days, and they're like, what's wrong, Ryan?
Is it go back to your initial sit down, setting the right expectations, proper communication?
100%.
Does this cure a lot of those, even though you're like, look, I don't control the market, but let me get you prepared?
I think the biggest thing is not over-promising,
right? Which
a lot of agents do they just want their listing signed.
Sure.
I'll sell your house in a week. Oh, we're going to have multiple offers. No, I go there and I have the facts. Here's the statistics. Here's in a half-mile radius of your house. Houses are selling for this much. Average days on market of this.
Yeah.
But I can go deeper. Hey, your house is a little better than these. It might go quicker. But again, this is the average of what to expect. So I think setting their expectations from the very first meeting 100% helps out a lot.
Now, on the buyer side, are you painting a more rosy picture?
Okay.
Let's get in the car. Let's get your pre-approval. Let's go.
What I'm telling all my sellers right now, if you don't have to sell, don't sell right now.
Sure.
Wait 6 months. Rates. We just had a little rate drop.
What happened to manage your property? Don't worry. No, I'm just kidding. No. But I get you. I get you. If you don't have to, why?
I tell if you don't have to sell right now, don't sell. Wait 6 months. Market's going to shift. It's San Diego. We're going to shift. We just had a rate drop. I've seen even this past week a little uptick in the market.
It's true.
And I think once they kind of keep dropping, it's just going to keep picking up. Market will shift soon. So I'm telling my sellers, hey, if you don't have to sell right now, don't sell. Wait a few months. Tell my buyers, swing for the fences. It's going to shift soon. Once rates drop, once buyers come back, market's shifting again. So all the houses that we see, the $700K house that we get credits to buy down your rate, get closing costs, all those credits are going to be gone. And we're going to have to compete, and you're going to have to overbid for that same house that we could have got for $50K cheaper and get you credits to buy everything down.
Is there one thing with the VA buyer that you're telling them before you even get in the car and go look at a house? Like, look, you got to get this taken care of. Is there I know you cover the stuff in your seminar and it's really key, but just maybe something that a lot of us don't know. Like, look, before we go drive around, you fall in love with the house. Like, you got to do this first.
I think the number one thing is, again, talking to a good mortgage lender and getting that pre-approval.
Got it.
I always say nothing's real until you get that pre-approval. You can be on Zillow, check your, Zestimate or whatever they call it. You can. I always say that's a good place to start. Their mortgage calculators and all that stuff. Great place to start. Until you do a pre-approval. And a lot of the times, if you know your numbers, it can always start just from a phone call. I have really good preferred lenders that I work with.
Right.
Just give them a phone call if you know your debt, your income, all that stuff. They can usually give you a good number right off there. Pre-call, we call. But again, to get a full pre-approval, to go house shopping, and to write offers with, that's what you have to, upload your information. And again, it's just a soft hit. The first one's just a soft hit.
Right. Is that what people are worried about? Like, my credit?
A lot of people don't want to I don't want to hit it on the credit. But I tell them, hey, man, it's
really?
just, so I always say, start with a phone call.
All right.
I'm like, talk to my guys. Start with a phone call.
For our older veterans, I got to drop this in here because I've been there. Like, if you don't know where your DD-214 is, you need to go find that thing first.
Yeah.
What are you calling, like, Ohio or Indiana, wherever they got them stored? Like, good luck, man. That'll take forever. Make sure you got that thing.
Exactly. And I would say work with a good local lender, because those can matter, especially in a competitive market.
Sure.
Those are the ones that could make or break a deal.
It's like anything, right? Like, the person that you know and trust is better than that, the big institution far away. Like, they don't know you.
Exactly. Yeah. So you want a good team. When you submit an offer, they look at the team. Who's the realtor?
Yeah.
How's this communication? Who's the lender? Because that, the biggest things fall out is because they don't have their number. So, kind of going back to that question of what I do to prepare my guys, our very first meeting, I'll get my, my lending partners on the phone.
Yeah.
Kind of, start with a phone call. That will, see where they're on the phone call, because they might be way off, where it might not even be worth kind of uploading their information. Start with that, because we want to know what their monthly payment is. Hey, what's your monthly payment? What's your debt? Do you have money for closing costs? If not, our strategy is going to have to be, we're going to get money from the seller to pay your closing costs.
Right.
So that's that initial phone call, setting expectations, and then seeing what's our game plan. What's the numbers?
This is huge, and again, I'm thrilled that you are doing your VA seminars, because it's just things that people don't think about. They don't think about, like, oh yeah, where is my DD-214, or like, hey, what kind of money do I need to have?
Yep.
I just heard it's 0%. Like, oh, but what about closing costs? None of these things come into play. So, all right, I want to wrap it up, Ryan, with one last question, and this is a good one. But if we were getting into the DeLorean, going back in time, when you were just starting your real estate career, could be all the way back before, like when you went the property management route, like, what would you say to baby Ryan? Like, hey, grow a manly beard, of course, number one, but number two, like, hey, here's my recommendation for your real estate career.
I think a big thing for real estate, and honestly just in life in general, I think every loss is a learning lesson.
Okay.
So every time I lost, especially young Ryan, just starting out, I thought every deal I lost or every, misstep was like, I'm going to have to go back to my 9-to-5 job.
Right.
But I learned, learned from that, that other listing with the mole and everything. Like, hey, if I'm feeling red flags at the beginning, just walk away.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of those little lessons along the way where I'm like, I thought it was the end of the world, and I learned from it. And I'm like, hey, I'm not going to make that mistake the next time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing is like, hey, we all take losses.
It's a great takeaway, and too many of us take the losses personally too. Like, hey, sometimes it goes wrong. What can we learn from?
Yeah.
What can we grow from, and go from there? So, Ryan, Caron Group, husband and wife team,
yes,
part
sir.
of the Dean Aguilar group, which we love very much. Thanks for being here.
No
really
problem. Can I
appreciate
shout
it.
out our VA seminar?
Yeah, man.
So VA seminar Wednesday, September 24th.
Okay.
Doors open at 6 p.m. I can send out the link to sign up.
We'll put all your links in our social
Okay.
media. Again, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Everybody
Jason.
else, thanks for tuning in to the CashFlow podcast. We'll see you next week.